Video game traditions have become more of a trademark that helps give every game its distinctive image or feel. Mario saves the princess and eats mushrooms. Link collects the Master Sword and explores dungeons. Samus destroys planets and conveniently finds all of her weapons in almost every planet she visits? Doesn't that seem a little bit too, well, convenient? One thing is to call it a tradition for the Metroid franchise, but isn't it funny that in every game that Samus starts without her equipment, she just happens to conveniently find them in whatever planet she's exploring? That is what it might seem like at first, but how about we explore a little bit deeper and try to find a reason for Samus finding her ancient, rare, and powerful Chozo weapons throughout the galaxy? So is this just a video game tradition, or is there more to it than we might think? For those of you who don't really know about much about Samus' backstory, all you need to really know is that after her parents' death at the hands of Ridley, she was taken under the care of the ancient Chozo, a very advanced species known for their wisdom and technology, who raised her and gave her all the amazing weaponry she utilizes to stop anything that threatens galactic peace. Before their untimely demise, the Chozo were once a proud warrior race that traveled through almost all of the cosmos, searching for new planets to live and hoping to achieve galactic peace someday. These travels usually also involved with a gift of peace from the Chozo to the new species they encounter on their journeys, and also worked as a landmark of their travels through space. So how does this come into play when talking about Samus bumping into their weapons all the time? It's simple. All the Metroid games take place on planets where the Chozo either lived or explored in previous time. Is that so hard to believe? Well, let's take a look at every game's setting. Through the franchise's 30 years, Metroid has a total of 11 games, counting a pinball spin-off, a reboot/remake of the original game, with another spin-off coming this year. And in almost all of these games, Samus has visited an old Chozo colony. Let's take the easiest out of the way first. Metroid, its remake Zero Mission, and Super Metroid all take place on planet Sebes, which once was the home planet of the Chozo where they raised Samus before the space pirate invasion. The same applies for Metroid Prime. Talon 4 once housed the species in what is now called the Chozo Ruins, before the Leviathan crashed on the impact crater, spreading face-on throughout the planet and ultimately killing all of the Chozo. In Metroid Prime 3 we get to explore more than one planet, one of them being Elysius' Skytown, a steampunk's floating city that once served as the Chozo's home many decacycles ago. As of this day, this city remains as the oldest known Chozo civilization, but we can also find Chozo remains on planet Brio, be it with the statue found in the Ice Dimension, for a lack of a better name, and on the Reptilicus lore. Metroid 2, Return of Samus, has the hunter exterminate all the Metroids in SR388. Thanks to the manga, we learned that the Chozo created these parasites to stop the X-parasites from devouring all life in space. So it's not uncommon to imagine the Chozo once living here to make sure the research was successful. And now for the more tricky games to apply this theory to. First comes Prime Hunters. In this game, you actually don't visit any planet that the Chozo once explored. The Alembic cluster is comprised by a couple of planets and space stations, but in none of them we see traces of Chozo civilization or weaponry. In fact, in this game we never collect any Chozo technology whatsoever. Samus starts with almost her complete arsenal and only gains the weapons of her rival hunters in this adventure. Metroid Fusion is also very tricky. In this game, 50% of your items are given to you by the Galactic Federation in data rooms, and the other are absorbed by the Core X bosses. The data rooms usually supply Samus with some sort of technology she once shared with the Federation, such as the Varia suit and other weapons like missiles and power bombs, which are more common in the Metroid universe. But what about the Core X? It is true that this species is able to mimic the host's abilities to perfection, as seen with the SAX used in Samus' arsenal. When Samus absorbs a parasite, it's more like she's being infected by it. But the Metroid DNA then purges the parasites from within, and perhaps through this method, she is able to copy the creature's main ability as a weapon. While this might sound far-fetched, the BSL station was conducting experiments on life forms from SR388, so it's possible that the Chozo used a lot of the life on that planet as a basis to create their weapons. And considering that Samus is more of a bioweapon in this game, it is possible for her new fusion suit to reshape according to her DNA. That leaves us with Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. Now this is another game where we don't see any signs of Chozo activity. No statues like in Ice Brio, no lore like in Talon 4, and definitely no cities like in Skytown. Instead, Echoes takes place on planet Aether, home of the Luminov, which is under siege by the Ying. It is true that you get a lot of Chozo weaponry in this game, but almost all of it was stolen from Samus by the Ying at the beginning of her adventure. and later recovered by defeating the Guardian mini-bosses. The power bombs and Spider Ball, while not available to you from the beginning of the game, were still implied to be in your inventory before the Ing attack. But Metroid fans will be quick to point out that in Sanctuary Fortress, you do find one chosen weapon, probably the most powerful one, the Screw Attack. It is a big mystery in the Metroid community to identify the origin of this weapon, but so far is 90% Chozo made. But then how did this weapon end up here? As seen in Ice Brio, this was a gift from the Chozo to the Reptilicus. And while there are no Chozo statues in Aether's, one lore states that the Luminov once made contact with them many ages ago. Perhaps with this contact, the Luminov were also gifted with a Screw Attack. And if anything, it might be the biggest treasure for them. Why else would it be in the fortress made after the Ing invasion and be more fortified than their own other weaponry? Maybe they understood its power and they feared it falling into the Ing's claws, so they refused to use it to avoid it being lost in combat. They were losing the war after all. But wait, what is that I hear you typing in the comments? I missed a game? What about Other M? Well, isn't the game's controversy enough for it to be self-explanatory? Samus already has all her arsenal from Super Metroid, but only uses them when authorized by Adam. There are only two weapons you find within the battle ship, being the Diffusion Beam, similar to Metroid Fusion's diffusion missiles, which are given to you by the Federation, and the Seeker missiles, which as we stated before is a more common weapon within the Metroid universe. So in the end, it's just not really convenience that Samus finds her weapons in every game and on different planets. It was just luck that made the Chozo a very nomad race that explored the galaxy, leaving their legacy behind for those who would come and take their place. In a nutshell, it is more convenient that Samus always finds herself retreading on her adopted race's footsteps rather than her finding their weapons at random.